Good morning, guys. Today we'll discuss a case capsule. So one of you can unmute yourself and read the case history. Am I audible to you? Please tell me if I'm not audible to you. So one of you can read out the history if you're seeing.
కడప నందలూరు బస్టాండ్ మరియు చుట్టుపక్కల నివాసాల జలమయ్యాయి. ఇటీవల బస్తాలకు అన్నపేట పెట్టడంతో చెయ్యేరు నదిలో నీరు విడుదల. ఈ నీరు చెయ్యేరు నది అనుసంధానంగా నందలూరు వద్ద కాలువ ద్వారా కన్యాకల చెరువుకు చేరాల్సింది. ఆ మార్గంలో కాలువలు చాలా వరకు ఆక్రమణకు కావడంతో నీరంతా బస్టాండ్ ప్రాంతానికి పక్కనున్న సుమారు 100 పైగా నివాసాలు తీసుకున్నాయి. రాజంపేట సబ్ కలెక్టర్
So I'll read it by myself. A 50-year-old Hindu male, farmer by occupation, presented with an ulcer over the prepuce of 3 months duration. The ulcer was insidious in onset, 1 centimeter of size when he first noticed, and gradually progressed to attain the present size of a coin. There is associated minimal seropurulent discharge. He is able to retract the skin backwards. There is no history of pain, fever, or trauma. There is no history of bleeding from the ulcer. No history of alteration in the urinary stream. There is no history of loss of weight or appetite. There is no history of swellings elsewhere. Um, can you please answer why the age is important in this case? In a patient presenting with a ulcer over the penis, why the age is important? Can you please tell me? You can please reply in the chat box. Somebody said most common in the reproductive age groups. That's not completely correct. As someone told, carcinoma is common in old age. Yeah, carcinoma is common in older ages, but any patient coming with ulcer over the penis and old age, we cannot say it is carcinoma. We can put it as a differential diagnosis. Suppose if a patient comes with an penile ulcer in younger age group, suppose let's take it as less than 30 or around 30 to 35 years of age. So what would be your first diagnosis in your mind? You can please tell me in the chat box. Yeah, syphilis is one of the differential diagnoses. You can broadly say it as any sexually transmitted diseases, any genital ulcers occurring less than 35 years of age. We can take it as sexually transmitted disease. That ulcer is because of sexually transmitted disease. So what are the different sexually transmitted diseases, you know? Yeah, H. So most common sexually transmitted diseases are syphilis, human papilloma virus, or herpes simplex virus, gonorrhea. Yeah, correct. There is chancroid, which is caused by Haemophilus ducrei or granuloma inguinale. So the most common are four things. That is syphilis, herpes simplex virus, chancroid, which is caused by Haemophilus ducrei, and granuloma inguinale. These four are most common, which cause genital ulcers. Gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomatis, trichomoniasis are all sexually transmitted diseases, but they more commonly cause urethritis, epididymitis. They rarely cause genital ulcers. So ulcer causing sexually transmitted diseases are herpes simplex virus, syphilis virus, and chancroid by Haemophilus ducrei, and granuloma inguinale. So as I've mentioned, the ulcer this patient is having is of 3 months duration. So can you tell me why is duration is important in leading to a diagnosis in a case of penile ulcer? So why is duration important? Yeah, you can tell me. Somebody can answer me. Usually, sexually transmitted disease ulcers are short duration. They after contracting the disease, they usually present with ulcer over the penis or the genitalia within 2 to 3 weeks after contracting the disease. Whereas ulcers, because of the malignancy, due to malignancy, are slowly growing ulcers. They initially start with small size, gradually progress. There is no rapid progression. They usually are present over a long duration, usually more than 6 months or like that. Whereas sexually transmitted disease ulcers are acute onset, like within 2 to 3 weeks of contracting the disease, they manifest as sexual genital ulcers. So, what is the significance of seropurulent discharge? I have mentioned in this history that he is having minimal seropurulent discharge. So, what is the significance of that? Somebody can answer me who is unmute. So any genital ulcers can get infected. So when there is secondary infection, they may cause purulent discharge. So that is what is the important. That's it. And any secondary infection may present as fever. So next question is, I've mentioned in the history saying that he's able to retract the skin backwards. So why is that important? You can either speak or type in the chat box. Somebody said it is stricture formation, not a case of phimosis. No, that's all wrong. If you are keeping in mind that genital ulcer is because of carcinoma, usually recent
ఎవడో ఏదో అన్నాడు వీడి దేనికి అవసరం లేదని.
recent onset of phimosis is considered as carcinoma unless proved otherwise. So if the patient is initially if he is able to retract the skin back, initially if the patient is able to retract the skin backwards and now he is not able
అదే
to retract,
QPT psychotic protocol.
now he is able to not retract it, then that is due to carcinoma. So I've asked the history of alteration in the urinary stream. So what significance that carries in a case of ulcer over the penis? So I've asked alteration in the urinary stream. So what significance it carries in a case of ulcer in the on the penis? Yeah, secondary involvement of urethra, somebody said in the in the chat box. So any ulcer over the penis can infiltrate into the corpora spongiosum and into the urethra. That may cause the narrowing of the urinary stream, or he may strain to pass urine. So that is why this history has been asked. And there is no loss of weight or appetite, as you know. Any carcinoma can release cachexins, which may cause cachexia. So I've asked the history of swellings elsewhere. So where 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 do you check for swellings elsewhere? What is elsewhere? Like which place do you check for swellings? Yeah, somebody said inguinal lymph nodes and somebody said supraclavicular lymph area. Inguinal lymph node is correct. There is a chance of lymphatic metastasis from a penile ulcer to the lymph nodes. So inguinal lymph nodes may be enlarged either due to malignant infiltration or due to secondary infection. So that we'll get to know as we discuss in the management part. But supraclavicular is rare. First, we'll see for inguinal lymph nodes, and then we palpate the lower abdomen for any enlarged pelvic lymph nodes. So coming to the past history, so there's no history of similar ulcers in the past. No history of TB or filariasis or any sexually transmitted diseases. There's no history of circumcision, and there's no history of surgeries in the past. So why did I ask for circumcision? Is there any significance in a case of penile ulcer patient circumcision? Somebody said it is protective. So I'll ask you which if a man undergoes circumcision at the age of 10 years, let's say 10 years, so is it protective for carcinoma of penis? If a man undergoes circumcision at 10 years of age, is it protective for circumcision for CA penis? Yeah, no is the right answer. Like, at what age is it protective exactly? Doing circumcision at what age or before what age is protective against the CA penis? Yeah, only neonatal. You can just note down this point. Only neonatal circumcision is protective. Neonate is less than 1 month. only neonatal circumcision is protective against CA penis. Any circumcision done after that is not protective. So coming to personal history, there's no history of diabetes or hypertension. He smokes 10 BD per day since last 15 years. There is no history of alcohol consumption. Bladder and bowel habits are normal. Sleep is not disturbed. There is no history of multiple sex partners. So no known drug allergies. Smoking can be a predisposing factor for CA penis, but not proved by studies. Uh, no history of multiple sex partners. So sexually transmitted disease, what are the risk factors for sexually transmitted disease? Somebody can tell me. The risk factors for sexually transmitted disease. Yeah, multiple sex partners is correct. The risk factors for yeah, the risk factors for sexually transmitted diseases are multiple sex partners, yeah, unprotected sexual intercourse, and effect of alcohol and drugs on sexual decision making. These are the risk factors for sexually transmitted diseases. Come to general physical examination. It is so coming to general physical examination, the patient is conscious and cooperative. He is well oriented to time, place, and person. Moderately built and nourished. No pallor, icterus, cyanosis clubbing. He is having right superficial inguinal nodes are enlarged. This will discuss in the local examination. So his vitals are BP is 130 by 70 mmHg. Pulse is 84 beats per minute. Respiratory rate is 18 cycles per minute, and temperature is normal. So we'll discuss the regarding the lymph node drainage later. Coming to local examination, on inspection, a solitary 3 by 3 centimeter sized irregularly shaped ulcer is seen over the dorsal aspect of the prepuce of the penis, extending into the both lateral aspects. The edge of the ulcer is everted, margins are irregular, floor is covered with slough, there is no surrounding erythema, no discharge is seen. On ventral aspect of the prepuce, shaft is normal. The ventral aspect and shaft are normal. He is able to retract the prepuce and glans is normal. So urethral meatus is normal, and though there is no swelling seen in the groin. So on inspection, you should mention about the ulcers you have seen regarding the size, shape, number of the ulcers, where exactly it is located, and how far it is extending. This is only inspection, so what all you can see, that only you have to mention, and whether he is able to retract the prepuce or not, or if he's able to retract, if you can see any ulcers underneath the prepuce or over the glands, and And the urethral meatus, you have to examine, you have to see whether it is narrowed or if there is any discharge from the urethral meatus. And also we'll look for any swellings in the inguinal region. And coming to palpation, so inspectory findings regarding the size and shape and extent are confirmed. Ulcer is mildly tender, no bleeding on touch. Edges are everted and indurated. Base is indurated. Shaft of the penis felt normal. Scrotum is normal. A 2 by 2 centimeters solitary, round, non-tender, firm to hard, mobile swelling noted in the right groin. No local rise of temperature. Margins of the swellings are indistinct. Left groin is normal. So in palpation, along with the ulcer, what all we have noted in the inspection regarding the size, shape, and all, will confirm by measuring the size and all. And we'll also palpate the floor of the ulcer if there is any induration, if there is any slough, or if there's any discharge. The base of the ulcer should be palpated if it is any indurated, and surrounding tissue should be palpated. Along with that, we should also palpate the shaft of the penis to just note if this ulcer is extending into the corporeal bodies, and also palpate the urethra, which is felt along the ventral aspect of the penis, to look for any induration or any thickening. Additionally, we also have to palpate bilateral inguinal nodes and also pelvic nodes, iliac nodes. So the inguinal nodes should be commented. The comment on inguinal nodes should be depending on the number, their size, their shape, their mobility, their tenderness, and the consistency, and whether they're fixed to skin or any surrounding structures. So, can you please tell me which structures can the if they are fixed, if the inguinal lymph nodes are fixed, which structures they can be fixed in the inguinal region? Can you please tell me? So can you please tell me to which structures, if their lymph nodes are fixed, to which structures they can be fixed in the inguinal region? So they can be fixed to the skin, or they can be fixed to the femoral vessels. So fixing to the femoral vessels, or they can be fixed to each other. So fixed lymph nodes to the femoral structures is a dangerous situation where you have to give radiotherapy. Whereas fixed to the skin, or fixed lymph nodes to each other, or any fixed to the surrounding structures, are classified as N3 lymph nodes. So coming to systemic examination, perabdominal the soft bowel sounds are heard, and no organomegaly. And bilateral respiratory system, bilateral air entry is equal, no abnormal sounds heard. CVS S1 S2 heard, no murmurs. So coming to summary and clinical diagnosis. So how to summarize is, you take all the positive findings and relevant and important negative findings, and form a single statement. So in this case, summarizing all the positive findings is a 50-year-old chronic smoker presenting with a solitary 3 by 3 centimeters gradually progressive ulcer over the prepuce with enlarged right superficial inguinal lymph nodes. So according to this history and examination, this may be a case of CA penis, clinically it appears like it is stage 3 because it is spread to the regional lymph nodes. So this is the anatomy of the penis. So different layers of the penis is very important. They often ask in the exam. So coming from outside to inside, it is the skin, which is most outer part, and then the superficial fascia, which is the dartos fascia, and then the deep fascia. Fascia, which is the dartos fascia, and then the deep fascia, which is Buck's fascia, and underneath the Buck's fascia is the neurovascular bundle, which contains a central deep dorsal vein, flanked on both sides by the dorsal arteries, and on either side it is the dorsal dorsal nerve of the penis. So there are two corporal bodies, corpora cavernosa, which is divided by the median septum, and these corporal bodies are invested by the tunica albuginea. So Buck's fascia uh, surrounds both the corporeal bodies and also the corpora spongiosum. The tunica albuginea covers the corpora cavernosa. And ventrally there is corpus spongiosum, and in the central part there is an urethra. So these are the layers from outer side to inner side. That is skin. Superficial fascia is dartos fascia. Deep fascia is Buck's fascia. Underneath the deep fascia is the neurovascular bundle, and then the tunica albuginea, which invests the corpora cavernosa and the corporeal bodies with the deep cavernosal artery or the cavernosal artery. So depending on the thickness of the involvement, clinically the carcinoma of the penis is staged as T1 to T4, whereas TIS is carcinoma in situ. There is one more entity called TA, which is Buschke-Lowenstein tumor or verrucous tumor. So verrucous tumor is a well differentiated squamous cell carcinoma only. It is squamous cell carcinoma, but it is well differentiated. It does not metastasize to lymph nodes, or there is no hematogenous metastasis. It only infiltrates locally. As carcinoma in situ, I'll discuss it in the coming slides. So T1 is any tumor extending from the skin to the subcutaneous tissue. So T2 is any tumor infiltrating the corporeal bodies. T3 is any tumor infiltrating the urethra. T4 is adjacent structures, that is the pubic bone or the prostate or the scrotum. So this is T4, T staging. So in our case, it was only the superficial ulcer, only subcutaneous tissue with lymph nodes. That is why it is staged as clinical stage 3. So coming to the pre-malignant lesions, these are the pre-malignant lesions of the CA penis. One is Bowen's disease or erythroplasia of Queyrath. So these are the pre-malignant lesions of the penis. Bowen's disease and erythroplasia of Queyrath, Bowenite papillosis. These two are combinedly called as penile intraepithelial neoplasia. Others are Balanitis xerotica obliterans, and or which is also called lichen sclerosis. One more is Paget's disease, condyloma acuminatum, leukoplakia, and cutaneous horn. So the difference between Bowen's disease and erythroplasia of Queyrath, if somebody can tell me in the chat box. The difference between Bowen's disease and erythroplasia of Queyrath. Yeah, somebody said erythroplasia involves glands. Yeah, both are considered as in situ carcinoma, but erythroplasia of Poirot involves the glands, whereas if the yeah, exactly, erythroplasia of Poirot is a red velvety lesion over the glands, whereas Bowen's disease is a plaque-like lesion over the shaft of the penis. Both are more common in more than 40 years of age, and both have the similar risk of malignancy, that is more than 10%. Whereas Bownight papillosis is more common in less than 40 years of age, and the risk of carcinoma is less than 10%. So I've mentioned condyloma acuminatum. Can somebody tell me what is condyloma lata and what is the difference between condyloma acuminatum and lata? Somebody told me syphilis. Yeah, what is seen in syphilis? No, condyloma lata is seen in syphilis, but it is not seen in tertiary syphilis. It is seen in secondary syphilis. So what are the different stages of syphilis are primary, secondary, latent and late syphilis. Primary occurs 2 to 3 weeks after the sexual contact. Somebody can tell me how typically the syphilis ulcers are seen? If somebody can tell me how syphilis ulcers are seen? So syphilitic ulcers are single or multiple, which are small, which are painless, and they have punched out edges, and they do not bleed on touch, and they are painless ulcers basically. Whereas herpes simplex virus are also multiple small ulcers, but they are painful ulcers, and they also produce inguinal lymphadenopathy, which are also painful. So what are painful ulcers? Which are painful ulcers and which are painless ulcers, genital ulcers? Somebody can type in the chat box. Which all are painful ulcers and which all are painless ulcers? So painful ulcers are two and painless ulcers are two. You can just note down. Painful ulcers are herpes simplex virus ulcers and ulcers caused by Haemophilus ducrei, that is chancroid. So painful ulcers are two, herpes simplex virus and chancroid. Painless ulcers are syphilitic ulcers and granuloma inguinale. You can just note down. Painless ulcers are syphilitic ulcers and granuloma inguinale. Whereas painful ulcers are herpes simplex virus and chancroid. Coming to lymphogranuloma venereum, it is caused by chlamydia lymphogranulum, that is serovars L1, L2, L3. Initially, it is painless and later it is painful. So, painless ulcers are syphilis and granuloma inguinale. Painful ulcers are herpes simplex virus and chancroid. So the wart-like lesions noted in secondary syphilis is called condyloma lata, whereas condyloma acuminatum or generalized genital warts are called condyloma acuminatum. whereas the wart-like lesion seen in secondary syphilis is called condyloma lata. Condyloma acumulatum is a pre-malignant lesion, but not condyloma lata. So can somebody tell me human papilloma virus, the types of human papilloma virus, serotypes of human papilloma virus, and which are all responsible for developing into malignancy? Yeah, HPV 16 and 18 are can develop into malignancy, whereas HPV 6 and 11 develop into genital ulcers, which are not malignant. They subside by themselves. So 6 and 11 form genital warts or ulcers which subside themselves. They do not progress into malignancy. Whereas human papilloma virus 16 and 18 cause genital ulcers, malignant ulcers basically. So as we discussed the different stages of syphilis, it is primary, secondary, latent and late syphilis. Primary syphilis, you usually have genital ulcers and oral ulcers which are painless, multiple, not bleeding. And secondary syphilis occurs 3 to 5 months after the primary syphilis. They form maculopapular rash over the palms and soles, and there is condyloma lata and other vasculitis features causing hepatitis, iritis, etc. Latent syphilis, there is no signs of syphilis, but if you do serology, serology markers are positive. And late syphilis is neurosyphilis and cardiac syphilis. So there is a different stages of syphilis. So herpes simplex virus is two types: herpes simplex virus type 1 and type 2. Type 1 usually causes oral ulcers, but may also cause genital ulcer, but most commonly causes oral ulcers. Type 2 causes genital ulcers. Coming to chancroid, what is the causative organism of chancroid? Can somebody tell me what is the causative organism of chancroid? Yeah, Haemophilus ducreyi. What is the causative organism of granuloma inguinale? Yeah, chlamydia is wrong. Klebsiella granulomatis, or it is also called as Corynebacterium granulomatis. Klebsiella granulomatis is correct. And lymphogranuloma venereum is called by Chlamydia serovars L1, L2, L3. So, can somebody tell me superficial, like inguinal nodes, anatomy of inguinal nodes? Can somebody tell me anatomy of inguinal nodes? So inguinal nodes are basically divided into superficial and deep inguinal nodes. The superficial inguinal nodes and deep inguinal nodes are divided by fascia lata. So lymph nodes lying superficial to the fascia lata are superficial. Lymph nodes lying deep to the fascia lata are deep inguinal lymph nodes. So superficial inguinal lymph nodes has three parts. So superficial inguinal lymph nodes has three parts: superficial medial, superficial lateral, and vertical group of lymph nodes or inferior group of lymph nodes. These vertical group of lymph nodes drain the lower limb, as a superficial lateral group of lymph nodes drain the lower abdominal wall and the side of the buttocks, whereas the superficial medial group of lymph nodes drain the perineum and the genitalia. so which is important in this case. And all these superficial lymph nodes drain into the deep inguinal lymph nodes. So if one question is, if a patient is having an ulcer over the shaft of the penis involving only the skin, then which lymph nodes are involved? Patient presents with ulcer over the shaft of the penis involving only the skin. So which lymph nodes are involved? Yeah, superficial medial lymph nodes are involved. Later, superficial lateral lymph nodes are also involved. So if the patient presents with an ulcer over the glands or shaft of the penis ulcer involving the urethra, or the shaft of the penis ulcer involving the corpora cavernosa or glandular ulcer. So which lymph nodes are involved? So ulcers which involve the corporeal bodies, ulcers over the skin and invading the corporeal bodies or the corpora spongiosum, they drain along the lymphatics of these corporeal bodies and involve the deep inguinal lymph nodes. They mainly involve the deep inguinal lymph nodes, and then they involve the iliac group of lymph nodes, external iliac group of lymph nodes. So anatomy is important. Inguinal lymph node anatomy divided into superficial and deep inguinal lymph nodes. Superficial is above the fascia lata or exterior to the fascia lata. Deep inguinal lymph nodes are deeper to the fascia lata. Superficial divided into three parts: superficial lateral, superficial medial, and superficial inferior. Inferior drains the lower limb, medial drains the genitalia and the perineum, lateral drains the lower abdominal wall and the side of the buttocks. And these corporeal bodies directly drain into the deep inguinal lymph nodes. So how do you manage this patient? So this patient was presented with a 3 centimeters ulcer over the prepuce and an enlarged superficial inguinal lymph nodes. How do you manage this patient? Somebody can tell me in the chat box. Just remember, any time they ask management in the examination, it is both investigations plus treatment. Just don't jump into treatment. It involves investigations and treatment. Management includes investigations and treatment. Just keep in mind, and first tell me what investigations we do in this patient. So how do you confirm the diagnosis? Like we have suspected it is CA penis. So how do we confirm the diagnosis? Yeah, biopsy. Which biopsy? Like excision biopsy or incision biopsy, wedge biopsy, edge biopsy. There are multiple biopsies. Which biopsy do you want to do? So we do incision biopsy or edge biopsy. Why don't we do a biopsy from the middle of the ulcer? Why only we do from the edge of the ulcer? Yeah, edge of the ulcer is the active site which has got growing, multiplying tumor cells, whereas the floor of the ulcer or the middle of the ulcer is usually covered with necrotic tissue, or in our case like slough. So edge of the ulcer we take biopsy, we send it for histopathological examination and confirm the diagnosis. So after it is confirmed that it is CA penis, then we stage the disease. So we look for, in this case we have enlarged right inguinal nodes, and then we stage the disease whether there is any distant metastasis. Most commonly see a penis metastasis through lymphatics. If at all it metastasis through hematogenous route, it involves lungs. It is rare. It is very rare. Most commonly, we are concerned with the lymph nodes only. So to stage the lymph nodes, we can do USG or CT scan of the abdomen and pelvis. So USG is good enough. Along with the advantage of USG is that we can also do USG guided biopsy of these lymph nodes to just know whether it is whether it is malignant infiltration or the lymph nodes are enlarged because of secondary infection. So after confirming the primary lesion with biopsy, we do USG of the inguinal region along with um, FNAC of the lymph nodes to confirm, and then chest X-ray to look for lung metastasis, and then the routine blood tests like CBC, creatinine, and all. And then coming to the treatment, how do you treat, or let me ask, what are the options for treatment of CA penis? What are the options available for CA penis? You can broadly classify the options as surgery, radiotherapy, or chemotherapy. In CA penis, it is surgery, radiotherapy, or chemotherapy, or in very superficial lesions or in situ carcinoma or TA, we can give topical therapy. So it can be classified as topical therapy, surgical therapy, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy. Four entities: topical, surgical, chemo, and radiotherapy. Topical therapy like 5-fluorouracil or 5% imiquimod or trichloroacetic acid, these are all few agents are there. You can read in the textbook. These are used only in carcinoma in situ or TA carcinoma or verrucous carcinoma. T1 tumor, either of the three modalities we have to use: surgery, chemotherapy, or radiotherapy. Surgery, it's again multiple surgeries are there. It can be partial penectomy, or it can be total penectomy, or it can be just wide local excision, or it can be circumcision only if the lesion is involving only the prepuce and it is very small. And others are micrographic surgery. Coming to radiotherapy and chemotherapy, radiotherapy can be external beam radiotherapy or brachytherapy, and chemotherapy. So surgery is the most preferred option, especially in our case with a 3 by 3 centimeters ulcer over the prepuce and an enlarged linguinal lymph nodes. The ideal treatment would be a partial penectomy if we can retain a 2 centimeters stump of the penis, and inguinal lymph node dissection. So when we do chemotherapy is when there is large tumor, involving the penis, shaft of the penis, which is inoperable, or when there is penile cancer with distant metastasis, hematogenous metastasis. So the basic concept of chemotherapy is that we give systemic agents, like you can give oral, or this is not just in penile carcinoma. Any tumors, the concept of chemotherapy is that since we give chemotherapeutic agents systemically, that is oral or intravenous, the chemotherapeutic agents circulates whole of the body, so it tackles all the metastatic lesions, not only the local lesion but any metastatic disease, suppose lungs or brain or anything, lungs, liver, or anything, it tackles, the chemotherapeutic agent tackles. So that is why chemotherapy is preferred only in metastatic disease. The concept of radiotherapy is that it is used in tumors when there is inoperable locally, a surgically amenable tumor. If it is not operable because it has involved uh, adjacent vital structures like femoral vessels. Then we give chemotherapy to downstage the tumor, to reduce the size of the tumor, so that we can do surgery and we can achieve negative margins. So the concept of radiotherapy is local, basically mainly local disease control. The concept of chemotherapy is systemic control also. So in CA penis, we give chemotherapy when there is a lesion involving the organ, the full of organ which is inoperable. Along with that, there are distant metastasis also. When we give radiotherapy is in CA penis. So we give radiotherapy if there is, suppose you take a young patient in 20s, 30s who do not want to lose his organ. So small lesions, we can give brachytherapy, which is a part of radiotherapy, or very large tumors which are inoperable, and there are large lymph nodes which are fixed to femoral vessels. Then we give radiotherapy to downstage the tumor, and then as a adjuvant procedure, we can proceed for surgery, penectomy, and inguinal lymph node dissection. So that is about the treatment. So in for surgery, MBBS level, if you get a CFNS case, it will mostly be a short case, and they'll discuss mostly about the ulcer. It will be like ulcer case presentation only. Rarely they discuss about the management and staging and all. Don't worry about the staging. Just broadly read about the management, like what are all the options, which biopsy you do, why we do H biopsy only, and what are the different treatment modalities is enough. Don't go into the details of staging and all, not important for you. Just concentrate on the pre-malignant lesions and then the ulcer examination and the inguinal lymph node anatomy. So that is all important for you. Any doubts you can ask me in the chat box. Any doubts you can ask me. If there are no doubts, then we can wind up the class. Okay. Thank you.